back. Sports with Chaba Chuchu.
Chaba, welcome back. NoRoof podcast. I'm excited for today. We got a very special guest. Next to me, I got my Chuchu. How we doing, Chuchu?
Oh, we're good. We're good now. You gave me Ephesians 3. We're ready to roll.
I know the word of God works, man. What can I tell you? Across from me, we got Rooster. Rooster, how you doing today?
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
King Nate, yay. Jack in the back. How we doing, Jack? All right, hallelujah. And our very special guest today, we have Matt House. Clap it up for Matt House. Clap for yourself.
Clap for yourself, Matt. Clap for yourself.
I have to do that. Why do I do that?
I love it.
All right.
You do that.
What up?
So we're going to get into it. You know this podcast, we take roof off things that we think we know because we need to grow in them more. Right? I think we're learning with God that there's so much to explore. There's so much to learn. And I think as soon as we go, we got it, we begin to go backwards. We don't ever want to do that. So that's why I love this podcast. So the word you got was a word that Pastor Kevin brought up at the men's ministry, which is the word integrity.
Come on.
Everyone say
Integrity.
First thing, what do you guys think of integrity? I know for me, I remember in 8th grade when I heard this word, I never knew what it meant. And my coach said this: integrity is who you are when no one's looking.
Wow, that's good.
So that was the first thing I know. What did you think of when you heard integrity?
Oh, man. The first time I ever heard it was in the military, and I thought it means no lying, no stealing, no cheating, all that stuff. That's what I thought integrity meant.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys?
Yeah, like pretty similar to Rafa. Like, I grew up, like, my dad was in the military and stuff like that. One of their mottos is, like, integrity, right? Yeah. So I was always taught, like, integrity is, like, who you are, like, when no one's looking.
Yeah.
Right? But it also came with this connotation that it was, like, you better be good.
Yeah.
When no one's looking, you know?
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Rooster, you?
Yeah, I think the same thing, but I think the underlying thing for me was more perfection.
Yeah.
And it was like not necessarily perfection, but definitely like it came with who you are when no one's looking, but also be better.
Yeah.
You know, how do you be better when no one's looking kind of deal?
Yeah.
Dang.
JR, I asked Pastor JR about this word, and he goes, because he went to the men's meeting, he said, there's something about that word or certain words that we have where he goes, when I hear it, I just feel like I'm just not doing a good job.
Yeah.
And I think whenever people say that word integrity, and anyone ever like go, I'm just not doing a good job with this one.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's such a condemning word.
Yeah.
So let's tear the roof off. Choo-choo?
Wait, can I say something?
Oh, yes, please.
I think that it's not a condemning word all the time.
Right.
I think when I think about Matt, when I think about you guys, I'm always like, wow, that's a man of integrity. It's only condemning when I look at myself and go,
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? It's
that's
a weird
good
double
picture.
standard. Because you look at other people,
Say that again.
That's really good. That's a good
it's so
point.
much easier to look at somebody else and say, that's a woman of integrity. But then look at yourself and be like, you know, when you think integrity, you're like, oh, I need to get better at it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like
That's
it's
a great
the same
point.
filter, yeah.
Why do we do that?
Yeah.
Taking the roof off self-acceptance. Ready to go.
Take the roof off men? Like,
No, just that. Like, it's really good.
That's
like,
a good point, though.
I think
I feel like men are harder on themselves anyway.
exactly. And I realized that
maybe
with
not, I don't
us,
know.
like, we celebrate each other really well. Like, we're like, good job, you did this. Good job, you did that. But the minute that you guys come and you're like, Rafa, how do you think you did? And I'm like, I suck. Like, I can get so much better here. Like, why the heck do we? Is that because of integrity? Like, can integrity help us not go into this place of like condemnation?
What is? I'm curious. What's the difference between biblical integrity and like integrity of this world?
It's good.
Like,
yeah.
is there a difference? Like,
good.
what do you think, Matt?
For that question or just any of that?
Anything.
Okay,
Throw it out.
I mean, like, I feel like we feel integrity is condemning because, like, I think we know, like, I mean, the only other person that knows us better than us is God.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, like, you know, because all somebody is seeing is the product, right? When you are up there teaching, or when I'm up there leading worship, or when you're teaching or doing sound, when you're teaching, it's like all anybody's seeing is the product, but they're not hearing the internal conversation, like, you know, what's going on in my heart and so on. But like, we know that. And like, so sometimes I feel like, you know, like, and I think it goes back to not really understanding what integrity is. It's like when you think it's perfection, when you think it's just like doing a really good job, then like you think, oh, well, because I have this thought, because I have a struggle, like I'm not really a person of integrity. You see me as a person of integrity, but in my own eyes, like I'm really struggling. It's like I just happen to make it through that one, you know, like I feel like that sometimes, you know. So it's like
That's good, Matt.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is even though we're struggling in that area, that doesn't change the fact that we have that, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's human. Like we're all human. Like every single person, like has internal thoughts and struggles and like insecurities come and anxieties come and problems come. And so it's like, you know, and every single one of us make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about like being perfect.
Right.
We watched a clip.
Yeah.
Was it, who's that by?
Rick Warren.
Rick Warren.
Oh, yeah.
What was he saying again? Do you guys remember?
He
was something
saying
about pies, right?
He said the word integrity comes from the word integer, meaning whole.
Yeah.
You're one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
not
like
be
he kind of like redefined integrity not from being this thing of like doing the right thing when no one's looking or being perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect's not the goal. Integrity. It's
Come on.
Can you be one? Can you be whole? And at work, the same person, the same one person at work
good, Nate.
as you are at church, as you are with your friends, as you are like and when we start to split those and be like, this is my church Nate, this is my work Nate, this is my whatever, this is my friend Nate, this is my whatever. When you start to split it up, you're moving away from the integer, the one, the wholeness of
The completeness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's good,
It's
Nick.
good. Why is this so
Yeah.
important? Why is it important to stay whole? Like, why not compartmentalize and like come into these places like that?
It's hard.
Wait. So what's your question?
Like why is it important to be whole? Like, what's the benefit of showing up whole to each of these places rather than compartmentalizing?
I mean, the first thing that came to my mind is like, that's the will of God.
Okay.
Right? It's like he wants us to be whole.
Yeah.
Like, even like, I was getting ready for this word and like, there's that verse that says like, be perfect like I am perfect.
Right.
When Jesus says that. And I think a lot of people read that as our idea of perfection.
Come on now, yeah.
Like, it's like, I never mess
Don't
up,
mess up,
like I got to start
No bad
striving
thoughts, no bad
right
thoughts, no
now.
bad thoughts.
You know, it's like, but like that word, I'm pretty sure when you translate it in the Greek, it actually means whole.
Yeah.
And it's like, be
Wow.
whole as I am whole, And so it's like,
good,
I just
Matt.
think it's the will of God. And, there's just like, there's no authority if you're constantly like putting on a different face in every single area of your life. Like, like
There's
to
no
go to work
realness.
and say, this is my work face, or like to go to church and this is my church face, to come on the NoRoof podcast and be like, this is my podcast face,
for sure.
or whatever. Like, this is
Yeah.
my family face, my friend face. And it's like, there will be really, it's like there will be no integrity in your life. And like, in the sense of like, there will be no strength and foundation to who you are, because you're constantly just going to be changing to fit whatever you're in right then.
Right.
Wow, man. Dang, that's really good.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I know.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. a
You
lot.
said something at the men's meeting about, because I think you talked about the wholeness, and you said something really good about if you find yourself being two-faced or switching back, it means, what did you say? I'm not enjoying. I don't want to. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah.
Please say
Yeah,
it.
so
Because
it's-
I remember I was
yeah.
like, write that down.
Well, because I like, I went to that men's meeting and I was just like, I'm just here to learn, right? Like, like I wasn't coming in here like, I got integrity down. I like saw the text and I'm like, ooh, that could be a tough one. It was just like, but Pastor Gavin did such a good job with it. And like that clip wrecked me. Like it really did shift my perspective, like on what integrity was. And, I asked myself the question, we broke into those small groups, because like Pastor Rick was like, this, like it's integrity's not perfection. It's being the same person no matter what.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why would I change who I am in a different situation?
Yeah.
And like, I just felt like the answer was like, oh, it's because I'm insecure.
Wow.
And it's like,
Come on.
because like, I don't feel like I belong.
Yeah.
God.
So it's just like,
Oh.
you need like the reason we change our integrity is because we feel like we need to belong. And that's a holy desire. Like we all are built to belong. But if we don't belong to the right thing, if we haven't felt that acceptance from God, like we'll constantly be changing our personality to belong in what environment we're in.
Wow.
So it's like here at this podcast, it's like I can change my personality to fit in with whatever's happening here, or at church, or at home, or at school, or at work.
Yeah.
Like I changed my personality because I'm trying to fit in with this group of people because I have a deep desire to belong.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than adding your wholeness to this and actually making the product even better.
Yeah.
Instead, you show up and it never moves, it never expands, it never goes anywhere because we're like, I just need to keep it here so people can love me.
Yeah.
But you said insecurity.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, how do you not have insecurity anymore? Like, how do you become secure?
So I guess, how do you grow in integrity?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great way.
That's
to
the
put
great question. I think even like, we live in such a social media day where people only show you their good side on social media where, we think like, oh man, I'm sure behind the scenes they're perfect. right? Because you only see the good side. So it's like, I don't know what I think, and we were in the small group where we were talking about really the difference between like what's it. I don't know. I'm just curious for you guys. Yeah. When Kevin asked, what's the difference between the world's integrity and as a believer's integrity? Yeah. What would be the difference? Just think about that. Ponder it. Yeah. Like, does it look the same? Does it look different? What makes it different? Just curious.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Rooster?
I got so much going on right now. Can I just say it all real quick?
Yeah.
No, I just want to go 3 different directions. One, I want to go deep into like the tough areas of integrity in our life, like the things that we're not like comfortable sharing. Possibly, I don't know. This might be the wrong place. Turn the cameras off, or whatever. That's one thing I'm talking about. Other thing I was thinking about was when you talked about the social media thing. People share their highlights, but they also share mistakes. But with the heart of not like trying to grow, it's just like it's different. It's like the motives are different on social media. It's not just highlights. Sometimes it is. Oh, I messed up with this. Isn't that so funny? And it's like you'll invite people to see your mistakes, but like celebrate them. There's no actual healing. There's no actually growth. It's just like growth. It's just like a look at me. I'm immature. You know, not all the time, but anyways, we don't have to talk about it ever again. I'm not.
It's okay.
Don't talk to me about social media. I feel like I'm the bad person to ask. And then your question with like biblical integrity versus the world's, I think biblical, at least from like studying, like you said, the original language, it points way more towards wholeness than it does
perfection.
Exactly. And even him being like the perfecter of our faith, it talks about him being the one who completes. He's the one who finishes it. He makes it whole. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a completion. It's like, it's all done. It's whole. It's not missing anything. And so in areas that but whereas the world is more so like, did you do the right thing? And sometimes it's like, I'll do the wrong thing, but I'll be on paper, but my heart would actually be like, God is adding something to my heart that was missing there before, or it feels uncomfortable, or like I may have made a mistake, or I may have missed it, but like the posture of my heart was like, God, I have you and I have all that I need. And the world might look at it and be like, wow, you really messed up there. But me, I'm like, no, I have him. I have everything I need.
Yeah.
You know?
You have your completeness.
Yeah. So the gauge for like, oh, you know, what's successful integrity is different, I think, in that sense of,
that's good.
Are you perfect? Did you do a really good thing? Because I mean, goodness gracious. Yeah. Anyways.
So it boils down really like you were saying to the issue of the heart. Like when you know you belong, you know what I mean? We've all been loved really well where you just feel unshakable, right? I think we've all been areas where like we've had, I think everyone's been in both areas where you found where you don't feel accepted and beloved and you find yourself shifting. Right. But then you have those areas like Nate says where you might see failure, but because I'm so accepted in the beloved, it's like you're unbreakable.
It's a benefit.
Do you know what I mean? I guess the way the circumstance doesn't break you. Where when you're not complete in Him, the circumstance can break you. Right.
That's really good. Yeah. That's literally what I thought about when you said that. Was I think, to me, just to be really honest with you guys, I felt a little guilty saying that, because right before our warm-up talk was the whole tire and the nail thing, and it made me so mad because I'm like, man, like they're brand new tires, yada yada yada. It was just complaining, you know. And then, but I know in my head the right answer is complaining is just delaying me from coming up with a solution to go out and do this thing,
right?
You know, and that makes me really mad. But that's also like, wow, I'm letting something I have no control over. I'm letting a nail inside of a brand new tire ruin this opportunity to connect with you guys because I am not allowing, I don't know, I feel like I'm letting that break me, you know? But like now that we're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to be whole. Like it's gonna be okay, you know? Because I think the spiral happens when we're like, well, what if I can't? What if I can't go later? What if my tire right now is flat? What if I have to call a tow truck? And I go down this new dimension, this new thing that doesn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you replay this thing.
And it breaks me. But really the sad thing is it keeps me away from you guys. It keeps me away from connection. It keeps me away from bringing God's agenda or God's heavenly realm into the place right now.
Wow.
You know? So honestly, I just feel a little guilty going, okay, this is what I think integrity is. I think I think the benefit of it is not letting little things break you as I'm being broken by stupid tire and nail. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I was talking to Nate when we got in, we were talking about driving. And like, I know for me, like like when I'm enjoying God, I feel like integrity is easy.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about 66, driving, right? So James 1, if you look up where it says, consider it joy when you go through trials, that word trial, if you look it up, it means a proving ground for integrity.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
That's what a trial is. Like to me, 66 is the best proving ground in the whole world to see. It's the great trial to prove integrity. But I've noticed this, and Nate and I were talking. We were talking about like the right lane, and I've noticed this. When I'm enjoying God, traffic is easy. When I'm just enjoying the presence, when my focus is on Him and not me. So this morning, I hit traffic on 29, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my God, am I going to be late?" The thought came, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like you, and I think a lot of us do, we go through that illusion. What if I'm late? What if Nate's got everything ready? And I'm like, whoa. And I just said, God, it was a quick thing. I had to go, God, am I going to be on time? He said, you're going to be on time. And I said, okay. And then he said, look at the trees. Because I was wondering why he took me down 29. And I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful here. Yeah. That's right. I should be enjoying this. Yeah. But I learned like enjoying Him caused me to slow down. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you said to be whole, you have to go to the one who's whole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's the trial. I think the trial is you get pressed somewhere, and it's like you can go to your own understanding, or you can go to the one who's going to make you whole. Yeah. And then, good. But here's the thing, though. When He said it, I had to trust Him, because He said you'll get there on time. But a part of me was like, I see a lot of brake lights, God.
Yeah, that's good.
But then He also went, there's also a lot of trees near you.
Yeah.
Good point. But it was like, I don't know, it was like, at least for me, driving this morning, it was like a fight of faith of like, I can enjoy God or I cannot enjoy Him.
Come on.
And I was like, I'm going to enjoy God. Thank you for the trees. Look at this. It's a beautiful day. Yeah. But I was just really thinking about that is a trial, it's a proving ground to walk out your integrity. And I know for me, and I was telling Nate this, I've also learned this, I've noticed this driving. When I'm not enjoying God, I don't realize what I'm doing when I'm driving. I was telling Nate, I notice all of a sudden I'll be in the left lane, and I'm like, how did I get in the left lane? And it's because I took an illusion or a thought, and I just started, all of a sudden I got out of my character. I got out of my integrity.
Yeah, out of your character. Right? That's good.
But I was telling Nate this morning, I don't even know how I got there. Right. I was like, I don't know. All of a sudden I'm like, how did I get to the left lane? Yeah. Abel, you drive in the right lane. You take your time, enjoy God. But it was just like, but I noticed it was an illusion that the enemy put, and I started replaying something that has never happened yet. And all of a sudden I'm in the left lane spinning around this truck, and I had to admit, I was like, how did I get here? Right. I was like, how did I get here? Yeah. But I don't know. That just really hit me this morning of like, I wasn't enjoying God. Yeah. I went down the illusion of the lie, and then all of a sudden my integrity was like, I'm going to go around this truck. But it was just like, I don't know how I got there. That was the weird part. Yeah. I'm confused with that one.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I got talked
autopilot.
Autopilot. There it is. Autopilot.
Yeah. There was something. Go ahead, Matt. What about you? World's integrity versus God's integrity.
Can I ask my questions? Because when you were talking out there, I wonder, Matt, how do you grow? I feel like you have a good understanding of it. And not only that, but you are seriously a man of integrity.
You are a man of integrity.
Seriously. Like, I mean, we were talking about this on your couch. Yeah. And it was like the same feeling we had there. It's like the same Matt from your couch at home alone is here on the podcast in front of people. And I was just wondering, like, how do you grow in integrity? Or, I don't know, what are some things that you're like, okay, how did you get here to this place of like, I want to be whole?
Yeah. I mean, growing integrity, like, I think what I'm learning about it is, I mean, I think it just goes back to, again, belonging. It's like, just like the way I grow in integrity is by constantly reminding myself, like, I'm His beloved Son in whom He's well pleased. And like, I don't need to impress anybody. I don't need to like show up, show out, even even right now, I am growing in integrity. Seriously, like even right now, is it a time to grow in integrity? Because like there can be a temptation to be like, okay, like I'm on the NoRoof podcast. There's been a lot of great people on this podcast. I respect everybody in this room, and like people are gonna listen to this thing, and it's like. And like there could be like, okay, well, I have to be impressive. I have to say something really profound. I have, and then your pride and your competitive nature gets in the way. It's like, I got to be the best guest that's ever been on this show. It's like, it's like
you do keep
flex, man, flex.
Right now you're at like a 4-star.
I'm gonna go home today. I'm gonna make an all-time ranking, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna fit myself, somewhere in there. It's Alex #1.
At least at the
so.
It's good, man.
So it's like even right now, there's an opportunity to like grow in integrity. And I think but again, it just comes back to like, okay, where am I finding my security? Where am I finding my affirmation, my identity? you know, it like I could literally have shown up and said not a single word, and like I could still leave and feel like I belong with him.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I could still leave and know that I'm loved. I could show up and said a million wrong words and like still leave and know I'm loved. And like, to me, it's like, that's how you grow in integrity. It's just like continually reminding yourself, like, I belong to him and nothing else. I don't have to belong to anybody else. I don't have to look for belonging in anything else. I found it in him. Like, I've literally found all of it in him.
So good, man.
Can you think of a time where, like, how did that grow for you? Like, because you're a worshiper, so I know talking to a lot of musicians, sometimes performance can creep in and comparison. Yeah. How do you begin that process with God? If someone's finding themselves comparing, you know, how do you just go to the Word? You say, do you just quote, "I am accepted in the beloved," or how did you grow in that? Because we see it on you. We see it on you, as Nate said. So how did you grow in that with God? Knowing, how did you grow in being accepted? You know,
it's good.
I think.
Like, did you battle with comparison?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We all do.
Okay. Yeah.
Who doesn't? You know, who doesn't battle with comparison? Yeah, like absolutely. Like pride gets in the way, and absolutely you can feel like, and it's not. You know, sometimes it's not always like, ooh, there's this one person, I gotta be better than them. It's not. It's not always that like vindictive, right? You know, but it is like. But there can be a need. You know, like I led worship this past Sunday, and it's like, and thoughts come throughout that week where it's just like, okay, you're leading worship for the first time, you're the main co-lead, and it's just like, Asia crushed it last week, Alex crushes it every single week, you know, and it's like, you know, and it's just like, guess what? You got to show up and crush it. If you don't crush it, like you're never going to be allowed to lead again. You know, all these things, and it's just like you've been doing this for a long time. You should be there, and all these things, and. It's just, again, you just have to like, those thoughts will come, but you just have to like, just bring it back to the truth. And like, I love what like, even like on Sundays, like what Pastor Gavin is saying about the difference between the mind and the brain.
Yeah.
Because I think that's my brain. Yeah. My brain has these thought patterns of like, gotta be better, gotta be better, gotta be better, you know? And like, but my mind, like my spirit will step in and be like, that's not true. And it's like, and I've started telling my brain, like, that's not how we're going to think. Wow. Because that's not the truth. Yeah. You know? And it's just like, and just keep going at it and realizing like,
that's good, man.
Those thoughts actually aren't me. Like, that's a pattern that's been developed in my life through, you know, elementary school, through middle school, through high school, through college, going through all those different friend groups, having to find a way to belong in all of them. It's like,
that's good.
You know, you're sitting there but I'm like telling myself, like my spirit's telling me, like the real me is telling me.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to think like that.
So good, Matt.
So good.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So
because I think we see you on Sunday, and even sharing of like the attack that you get throughout the week.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy. We can just like, they got their whole life together, perfect. There, every thought is like, no. It's like you said, we all deal with that. So thank you for sharing that.
I mean, like even to share, like I feel like even a little bit more, like. Yeah, I mean, I get corrected a lot. You know, so it's like, you know, I get corrected a lot, and like sometimes, like. You know, especially like if I get corrected and I'm in front of other people, that can get me because it's just like, ooh, that hurts my ego. Like, you know, it's like I was you like said that in front of all these other people, and like now they're gonna think this thing of me, and like, you know, and it's like you start kind of like, you know, and like that gets at my ego. I absolutely like struggle with that, you know, and it's like then you have to like go home and your flesh is going like, how dare they, how dare they, you know, and like, but
don't
like,
say no.
And you just have to like, you know, good, you just have to lay it down, but it sucks, you know? Like, but I'm growing in that. Like I'm not there yet. Like that, my pride can absolutely be hurt like in those moments. And
so good, Matt.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Man, like everything I just heard from you, like the power of, you know, God's definition of integrity, of the wholeness is we have a clear mind.
Yeah.
To bring out the best version of whoever it is that I'm meant to be. Yeah. I think that's so powerful because that's all we want to do. Like we just want to be able to come and bring the best part of us.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times we settle and don't even bring the best part of us because we're wanting to compromise to be accepted and belong by other people where we already are by God. So because of that, I can come and just be the best version of myself. I think that's so powerful. The word that kept coming to me is patience. And so what I did, the reason I have all these papers here is because I was complaining about the tire and the nail, and there was another issue that happened yesterday with like this homeless thing. It's a long story, but it was so sweet. I was working, but my mind was going all over the place. Yeah. And I actually felt broken because I was not acting or responding in the way of who I know that God made me to be. Right. You know, and like the story behind it is that I love to love people, right? Like God loved me at the lowest point in my life. So if he loved me at the lowest point in my life, I should be able to love people the same way because of his love. And there's this, but for security reasons and stuff that happened in the past, like if anybody tries to break into the building, like, you know, I had my stuff stolen, all this stuff happened before, but I care more about the people here. So because of security reasons, there's certain people that were like, oh, like, hey, like, do you have an appointment? Are you supposed to be here? We rent out to different people. So like, for me, it's really hard to go up and be like, hey, like, are you supposed to be here? You know, like, do you actually belong here? But there was a part of me that's like, but I want to love these people. I want to be able to come up and be like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, what brought you down to this place where you have to actually come and steal and do all these things? But then there's another part of me that was broken. It was like, but if I don't talk to them, am I being who am I supposed to be? Yeah. And there was a perfect opportunity for me to go and do it. And I was just fighting back and forth. And I'm trying to do work as I'm doing this. And like, everything is just not coming out the way I want. But then Chaba, I don't even know how you knew. You were like, are you okay? And I don't know, did I slam something? Did I do something?
No. Just felt you.
Oh, that's so beautiful, man. So anyway, so Chava comes and he's like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not, you know. And something I've been working on is just not cussing because I find it disrespectful. And so, you got to cut me?
Flip the tape.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason that like with the whole cussing thing, it's just completely different. Before I was trying to be a good boy and I was like, man, I don't want to cuss. And I don't want this to be a habit. And if I'm teaching, one day it accidentally comes out, whatever. And then I sat down with this guy I really respect, and we were having dinner, and he was like, oh yeah, I don't cuss because I find it very disrespectful. And I was like, my God, like I've never seen it that way. Like that is such a beautiful value. That's way better than be a good boy. Yeah. Instead, he brought a value that I was actually able to hold on to and be like, I don't want to be disrespectful. So anyway, so it's something that I've been practicing, and so far, I've been really good. Every once in a while, like, I'll come out and I'm like, man, my one cuss word for the day. Like, I didn't mean to. So anyway, so you came and you're like, what's wrong? And I was like, well, I feel like a blank. And I was like, man, my one cuss word, you know, and that didn't help. And you just hugged me and I just shared my heart with you. But there was something that happened when I was able to bring this quote unquote brokenness, this part that didn't feel whole, this something that was very vulnerable and insecure. Yeah. And I took it out of my mind and then I put it in your hand and I was like, hey, this is how I actually feel. Yeah. And the only word you said is, you have such a big heart. And something about that like brought me back to like, oh, I haven't even like committed an action yet to then say, okay, this is who I am. Right. Yeah. It was just me in my head replaying scenarios of like, who am I? What's going on? But an accountability person or somebody that was able to come and be like, you have a big heart. I'm like, wow, that's the place that I respond from. And then today, like I was getting ready to go and talk to the person that was there and like all this stuff. But I don't know, this confidence came in me once I shared my vulnerability with you and then you brought me back to my foundation, to my wholeness. I don't even know where the heck I was going with this story, but...
No, I think that goes right along with what Matt said is like, it's an acknowledgement. Not a owning it, but there is an acknowledgement of like, okay, this is going on in my heart right now. Do you know what I mean? Right. Like but I love how you said it, like, okay, that's the brain. But then you brought it back. Kind of what you did. Wait, I'm a big heart guy. That's why. Yes. You know what I mean? But I think there is the, I don't know, right? Is it the acknowledgement?
Yeah, well, I think what it is, because the opposite of integrity would be like, okay, I'm a different person here than I am here, and really like you're hiding stuff, right? So sometimes we hide
faking it, because he could do this. He could be like, I'm fine, I can be quiet and cool. Go ahead, Alex, correct me, I'm cool. But then really there's no change.
Yeah, we're not receiving it.
Yes, right. But I think sometimes we hide it from people, but also sometimes we hide it from ourselves. We pretend like, you know, so you're saying acknowledgement, but I think that like you talk about accountability or something like what you saw in that picture of you and Chaba and Choo Choo coming together is iron sharpening iron, right? Wow, yeah. And what I was thinking about this morning when I woke up was like iron only sharpens iron. Yeah. If iron touches iron. Yeah. Like you can't be out here trying to say, oh, good, get it real sharp and never like touching them. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there's so many things about our life. Like we don't let people touch because it's messier. We don't let people touch. I don't want people to know I cuss. I don't want people to know that, you know, and it's like, but you bring people into that and let them touch it, like be vulnerable with them. Even what you're talking about now with pride, like that's huge. Yeah. To be like, you know, my pride still hurts when I get corrected. It's like to invite people to come and touch that still is the only hope of growth. If you don't let an area of your life get touched, then that same area will never be sharp.
Right.
That's a good point, Nate.
You know, so if we hide from ourselves and other people, we avoid growth.
Because I think we even that whole iron sharp irons, we think if we get together, we're sharpening. No, it takes the vulnerability.
Put a bunch of knives in a drawer, see if they get sharper. It doesn't matter. They're not near each other.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. We come to church every Sunday like, oh, I'm growing. It's like, no, your attendance is good. It's good.
Are you being vulnerable? That's
seriously, yeah.
That's really good. That's awesome,
man.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the end point. The end point was like, this is why I have all these papers here.
Take it back.
It was, but it has to go deeper. It can't just be like, blah, like here's my pain. It's like, hey, here's my pain. What do you think?
Yep.
And I think that's where integrity goes, because like the reason I could share that with you is because of the character that you've developed in my life. Yeah. And I know that if I share this with you, I can only get something good back. Yeah. You know, because your character has proven it. Because of the times you had to hold back and say something in a kind way or a loving way or whatever, you know? It's like, I know if I bring this to you, we can do it. But I also know you'll guide me into a place with strategy. And you're like, hey, here's Ephesians 3. You know, he was like, it's not brute strength, it's the Spirit of God. And he was like, this is what I do printouts. And so like when the tire happened this morning, I was like, oh, like I know complaining isn't the answer, but what do I do? Oh, I remember what Chaba does. He prints out scripture. And I remember what scripture he told me, Ephesians 3. So I like printed it out, wrote it down, underlined stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm so much more at peace here. Like I feel more whole. And when you guys were saying whole, I was like, I found my sweet spot again. Yeah. You know, but it took this level of being sharpened, but also finding tools in the place of accountability, in the place of community, in the place of connection. That's good. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, even hearing everyone, it's like to grow in integrity, you know, it takes being cut. I know it's, now I think about it, I think it's the opposit of perfection. Like the way we've been taught is perfection. Really, it's the opposite. It's get cut. You know, get vulnerable, get corrected, you know, it's the opposite. Yeah. And it hurts. Can I say that to the camera? Yeah. It could hurt. It hurts.
Yeah. Well, I think it hurts more when we keep replaying these things in our head that aren't even real.
Right. Yeah.
Because we can like leave the conversation and be like, what did they mean by that? Yeah. And then by yourself, with yourself, you're like, oh, they meant this. Right. They meant that I suck. They meant that I'm not a good whatever, that I'm evil, whatever, rather than like going back again and being like, hey, like, what did you actually mean by this? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, Ephesians 4, the next chapter, it talks about the self-life. And it springs up what the Passion Translation says from illusions. How the enemy uses illusions. And if you think about that, that's an illusion of, you know, like those thought patterns. Alex doesn't know, you're playing an illusion, and his goal is to get you back to you, to make it back to self. Because if it's about you, you won't go to him for wholeness. Right? Yeah. But I was thinking about it, because in that chapter, he says, the self-life which springs up from illusions. Because that's what he does when we're driving. He's trying to get you an illusion. He's trying to use the brain to get you to play a scenario that hasn't even happened yet. Yet how many of you have played that scenario in your head, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, am I there? Is this really happening? Why do I all of a sudden not want to be around this person?
Right, yeah.
And it's like they've done nothing but that illusion. You know what I mean? It's like...
It's true.
But I was just thinking about that, of like, because you have an option when integrity is being corrected. Yeah. You can go with the illusion or go to the one that makes you whole.
Yeah.
And it's a fight. It's a fight of faith, man. It's a fight of Nate taught, was it 2 Wednesdays ago? I love how you talked about kind of the law of focus. Of like what your attention is and what's expanding. Of like you had the opportunity to do this, and now I could see it. This is expanding in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but I was just really thinking about that. The illusion part. It sounds like we all have done that in our head, right? Yeah. Have gone with the illusion of the enemy. Yeah. Of like, Alex is it's just like, but you know he loves you. The reality is he loves you, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
Like same with this, but I've done it. I'll be honest with you. I've had illusions about every single person on staff, but it's just like. Right. That's all the devil has. Yeah. Make an illusion to where I'll make it about me and then I'll put me against them. Yep. You know what I mean? That's offense. We took the roof off that. Where integrity is like, I better get whole.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Yeah. I love you guys. I'm without you guys.
I don't know. I love you guys too. I'm so broken. Sometimes you guys say things that makes us my heart melt. But I was thinking about, you say sometimes the enemy uses illusions to make us go against each other. But I think for me, it's not even so much of like, oh, Matt, I hate him. It's actually like illusions that would make me want to separate myself from him. Yeah. So not even like not even like an offense, but like, okay, I have to do this alone. Like he's not safe. It's not like he's not a good person, but it's like I don't know if I could trust him. You know what I'm saying? It's
like there's no iron.
Yeah, and so he'll use illusions to get me to isolate myself, and I think like
That's really
yes,
good,
I'm with you.
If we're all willing,
keep going. Please keep going there. Right. This is good, Nate. No, Nate, this is good. I feel you. I see your heart. No, you're onto something.
Whatever. All right, well, let's
this
go.
This is good. This is good.
Come on.
Flip the tape.
No, this is good, Nate. This is good.
Can we flip the tape, please?
Flip this table already.
All right, no, the only reason... Sorry.
She wants water,
Okay, so, all right.
You're talking about the separation.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So, okay. Everyone relax.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Revelation.
It's only tough because it's kind of recent. Like just a month ago, we were digging in with the worship leaders into places that were previously hidden, untouched of my heart that like I never had to get touched. And so when you go deeper in relationship, things are like in the context of family, that stuff's exposed. Yeah. Like family will bring out the best of you and will expose the worst in you so that it can bring out the best in you if you let it, you know? Right. And so as we dive deeper in family with that, I was realizing like, it's so weird. I sat with Asia and we'd have a great conversation at like Geronda's or something. I would sit with Daniel Yum and I would sit with him and be like so comfortable talking about some of the deepest hurts in my life. And I'd sit with Alex, same thing, sit in your house, same thing. It would be such intimate conversations with all of them. I trusted them fully. But then all of them were sitting there, we're having a meeting, and I was like a robot that was like having trouble calculating what to look at. It was like my auto aim was off or something. It was just like kirking up. And I felt so like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what jokes to make. I didn't know how to be because I had customized like my relationship with Matt, Alex, Daniel, and Asia to fit that form of like I know this fits in here. And I had no integrity. It wasn't that I was doing bad things. It was that I didn't feel safe enough to bring the fullness of who I am to each one of those. Gotcha. So then when I sit in a room with all of them, I don't know, should I be like super deep with Alex, or should I be super funny with Asia, or should I be like a nice mix, Eagle Scout with Matt, or with Danny Yum? Should we talk about like be real, authentic? You know, it's like, and it's like all these things that I know that like I could bring here, but it's like, what piece do I bring? And so I'm like frozen, crippled. In that, and I had no idea until I sat there and realized it in the context of family. Like, why am I freaking out right now? Yeah. And so then I had to learn, and it was dreadful. Goodness gracious, it was terrible. Like to bring little things, like small things, like a little small thing to them was so scary because I wasn't bringing what would please Matt or any of these people. I was bringing my actual one integer. Like my Nathaniel Trenton night to them. Wow. And it was one of the first times I started to do it, or at least realized it intentionally, saying, okay, here's who I am. Yeah. Is it enough? You know? Instead of assuming in my head of like, I'll just give you this part and hide this, you know, and it was robbed me of so much growth and so much really wholeness of myself. And because of that, I mean, it was beautiful, but I've learned like, okay, wow, I do that there, but I also do that in meetings. Yeah. I'll pay attention as people go around the circle and this is how my progress is going. I'm like, okay, so I gotta, talk about this. Okay, this is not the day to talk about that. So don't share my heart. Don't share my heart today. Gotta tuck it in. I don't even have a heart. I'm a robot, you know? And it's like, but I'll take notes. I'll kind of like get like I was more of a thermometer than a thermostat. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, so we're kind of hot right now. I'll be hot. And it was like, okay, we're not. Okay, I'll just sit in my spot, you know? But then the more I learned, it's safe to bring myself, or it's powerful, this is what God, the more I learned about myself in the context of that family and before God, I saw, I'm actually meant to change this. Yes. So it felt uncomfortable because one meeting was going one way and I was going to bring something completely different. And instead of conforming, because I had been transformed, I was able to bring like, okay, this is not right where we're going. Yeah. And then people were like, you know what? You're right. It isn't right. Let's talk about that, you know? And it wasn't a thing about, look at Nate, save the day. It's like, no, look, Nate was built to be a pioneer. Yeah. And now he's stepping into it and not being a follower. And that all glorifies God. That's not has anything to do with me. It's all his fingerprints all over it. Yeah. Anyways, that's all for me.
No, that's good. Even being, so I'll say this, watching you and us be on the outside, and you've known this, like when you share your heart, culture changes the right way.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? So like that's where that makes sense to where that's where you'd be attacked, to be isolated. Because every time you've done it, and you've done it several times, where it's like culture has shifted.
Yeah, sure.
But it's like, that's what he placed inside you. So I'm just confirming, man, when you share your heart, things change, man.
So good.
For kingdom.
So good.
And like you said, it can be scary. Right. Put it out there, right? When you do it, but when you do it, oh my God, I love you guys.
I love you.
I can't do this alone. Everyone hold somebody. So funny.
Maddie, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, can you tell us about some tough integrity things you're growing in?
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to, I guess.
Y'all just keep firing away.
Yeah, come on, man. Let's get naked.
Tell us your deepest, darkest secrets. Please.
Well, I wanted to kind of like, I love what you said about family. Because like I like, you know, and like I think, you know, even like, you know, you all asked me to do this podcast and I just started like brainstorming like integrity at a deeper level, you know? And like, you know, like I do think like integrity is formed in family.
Yes.
Like, and, you know, and it goes back to like the belonging thing, but even deeper than that, it's like, you know, because I think about even like everybody as a kid, right? Like when you're a toddler, you know, and you both have kids, you know, that are young, and it's like all they know is the love and the comfort of their parents and their you know, and their families, and like they're totally safe in that, right? But then what happens like as soon as we go to elementary school, as soon as we're taken out of that environment, like it's kind of an intense thought to think about, but like that's like your integrity is tested at 5 years old when you go to kindergarten. You know, when that's when integrity starts, right? Yeah. But it's just like, but integrity is formed in the family because like, you know, for me, you know, I grew up in church, and like I grew up with like super anointed parents who, like, you know, my mom was leading worship and my dad would teach in the children's ministry, and he would volunteer on the sounding team, and, you know, he went to Rhema, you know, Bible college, you know, it was just like had such these strong parents of faith. And like, you know, you start growing up and like you're so involved in church at an early age, and like, you know, you start to see like in church, even at an early age, like the expectations and like the faces people put on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and so, you know, even though, and it's like, so I'm at this, and you know, at an early age, and like, you know, and it's really tough, like, especially when, honestly, like, I think everybody here, when you're in ministry, because like you can start to feel the expectation of like, all right, I have to be this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm growing up as a kid, and it's just like, you know, and I'm having these crazy, I mean, you know, like, I mean, I was saved, baptized in the Spirit. I don't even remember getting saved. I don't remember getting baptized in the Holy Spirit. I've been speaking in tongues all my life, as far as I can remember. You know, it's like, I've been doing this all my life, you know, and so it's like, you know, for me, like, you know, you start putting that expectation on you. It's like, okay, well, I had this history. I had this stuff. Like, there's an expectation for me to be really incredible, you know? And there's an expectation, like, even as a kid, like, I'm showing up as a kid, like, there should be no pressure on me. And yet I'm showing up with pressure on me because of, like, who I am, how people have, like, bragged about me, how people have set me up. And I'm showing up as a kid, and I'm like, oh, I have to be this way. And so you start forming this thought of, like, and that's why I think you start compartmentalizing. Yeah. You know, we talked about, why do you compartmentalize your life? And it's just like, it's like, okay, insecure. Well, this is, it's like, it's too hard to be this all the time. You know? It's like, you know, it's good, too, Matt. Like, my church face is not my face that I want to wear home. You know, it's like, it's too hard to be like this. And it's like, I'm putting so much pressure on myself that like, I go home and I'm like, I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of it. And so, you know, like, it's like you're coming to church and you're like, oh yeah, I'm in the Word. Oh yeah, I'm praying. Oh yeah, you know, it's like, and then you go home and you're just like, video games, TV. I'm gonna eat this whole Papa John's pizza. You know, it's like, you know, because it's like I gotta take the pressure off because my whole life is pressurized.
It's good, man.
This is so good.
Shoot.
And so it's like, you know, and like, you know, we know that, like, that's something that we've been growing in with, like, the leaders and stuff like that. The worship team. It's like, I've had to really confront in my life, like, who I am at home and who I am, like, outside of ministry, who I am outside of work and stuff like that. And I've had to confront my habits, you know, and it's just like, you know, and it's not that there's anything wrong with some of these, you know, like, it's not that there's anything wrong with watching Netflix or playing a video game or eating Papa John's or something like that. You know, it's not that there's anything inherently wrong. Like, they're lawful, but they're not always helpful. Yeah. And like, if I'm using them to, like,
feel whole.
Feel whole. To establish my identity or to like establish my foundation, you know. So it's like I'm using them really to cope with the pressure I'm putting on myself at work or at church, and then I wonder like why I'm dissatisfied with my life. You know, I wonder
why are things not working?
right. Why don't I have authority? Like why when they sing that song it lights up, but when I sing it, it doesn't. And it's just like, is that because my voice isn't as good, or is that because I'm not as talented or whatever, or is it because like I actually haven't allowed things to prove themselves in my life? I'm just doing something, you know, and like,
my gosh,
that's really what integrity is. It's like, you know, I think you talked about like the trials, right? And something I feel like he's been like kind of saying to me, and like I feel like you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't actually think he tests us. I think he tests his word in us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like he puts words in us. He gives us identity. He gives us these words. Okay, this is who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then he says, all right, now let me prove that thing.
Yeah.
Let me refine that thing till it actually has authority where you can actually walk in it. You know, but I think so often we just like get words and we're like, okay, yeah, I got that. But like we never actually let him prove it through trials. We never because it's through the mistakes and how we walk out the mistakes that integrity is proved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that. I think that's a huge part of integrity. How do you deal with mistakes?
Yeah.
You know?
Good, Matt.
That's what Pastor Kathy said last time. She used the word, I think the perfected in love.
Yeah.
But what did it mean? Matured. Yeah. I think we think the same thing of integrity, perfected, where it's mature, which it takes time.
Right.
No, that's so good.
We need to slow down.
Time.
That's really good.
Can we just slow down for a second? Can you calm down, Matt?
I'm going to have to watch this 5 times and take notes.
Dude, you said so much. You're like, I'm going to get that number 1 slot.
I know you said you weren't going to do ranking.
We'll do the ranking.
Do it, Matt. Can we just take some time? Yeah, can you relax, bro? No, I'm so serious. Can we unpack some of it at least?
Oh, yeah.
Like one of the things you mentioned was like we go to things like, you know, whatever it is to make us whole.
To cope.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, so if we're in that place, and even at work, it could be subtle things. It's not so overt as overt as like, oh, when I go home, I binge watch Netflix or I eat a whole pizza. You know, God forbid.
Though it's been done.
Yeah, by somebody, some sinners. Not me.
Could I have 8 Big Macs, please?
Yeah, for sure. They're like,
I've eaten that whole pizza.
Yeah. Anyways, I got distracted. But you, okay, so let's say it doesn't have to be overt as like, you know, binging or whatever. It could be as subtle as when I go into a work environment and these guys are talking a certain way about women or talking about a race or any of that stuff. It's like you walk into a setting like that and it's like, you know, it could be as subtle as it makes me feel whole if I fit in this conversation. Even if it's not saying anything, it's like, this makes me feel good if I just don't say anything about it. It can be so subtle in that. So I want to ask you or anyone. We could ask anyone, all right? But you're on a roll, so whatever. We can ask anyone. But I'm curious of like, when you find yourself taking those things and making yourself whole with them inappropriately, like, okay, this makes me feel whole. How do you take it and say, I don't want this to make me feel anymore. I want you. Like, what's the transition process from, you know, I don't know, filling yourself with stuff that's not him?
I think I know for me, I'll just do one right now because I have a 2-year-old. And you said it already. It comes, I don't have to own it. I think when you said, when those thoughts come, you tell yourself, no, I don't need that. Right. I know for me, I'll be honest, man, my patience has been so tested with my 2-year-old, and I'm finding I'm yelling again, my anger, my tone, and I have to go back to him and go, and he just goes, you don't have to own that. That's not you. You're gentle. And I think you said it. You have to like say it out loud sometimes. It's something about saying it is just like I had to because there are times where it's like, oh, I'm angry. I'm an angry person where, you know what I mean? I own it. Where you said, wait a second. No, that's my brain.
That's good.
I love how you said that. No, wait a second. That's not me. And I think for me, it's what you said. I don't have to own it, but owning the truth. This is what going to God. And the other one is, you said the other one too, is go to someone you trust. Go to someone, I'm angry, Nate, I'm this. And then you go, Abel, you're a dead bear. I love when you say that to me because you can see it on me. I can go to you guys and go, I'm gonna be a Hulk right now. Where I trust you guys, and you guys, for me, that's been such a blessing. Anytime you say, Abel, you're a dead bear. Wow. Abel, you're a George Washington.
Yeah, you're an anvil.
Thank you. That's been a big one for me.
Yeah.
But those two things you said, that at least for me, is one, don't own it. Yeah. You acknowledge it, but don't own it. Don't go, that's not me, that's my brain telling me this. And the biggest swing, if it's too overwhelming, I have to go to someone. I have to go to you. I have to go to Pastor Gavin and say, I'm a terrible dad. This is what I'm dealing with. I'm just a failure. I'm a bad dad. I should have no more kids, just being honest. Right? Why am I children's director? Why am I children's director? I hate kids. I'm the wrong, you know what I mean? And then you guys go, no, Abel, this is who you are.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
Praise God.
I'm talking crazy.
Praise God. You know, family. You know what I mean? The vulnerability. That's for me. I'm curious about you guys.
Well, I think the power behind that, again, it gets it out of your mind. It stops the replay in your brain, being able to go and talk to somebody. But we're just humans. Like you said, Matt, like you don't have all the answers. You don't have the best perspective. So like, but you have a better perspective than I do inside of my brain. So when I'm able to bring this to you, it gets me out of this cycle. But the power is, okay, God, what do you want to communicate? And you did a great teaching on communication. I love that, the whole thing with Levi. And how you said you guys did a sleepover in his room, but it was dark. You said no words, but every touch, every pat on the butt, on the back, on the head, it was a communicating, saying, "Hey, I'm still right here." And I think that's the power that we have when we come together with somebody that we trust, and we're like, "Hey, this is where I don't feel like I have the most integrity. This is where I don't feel like I'm whole." And it brings us back to a place of like, okay, now I'm at so much peace that I can talk to God and I can actually communicate with him and get a better thought for myself. Yeah. And this thing that I was reading, because honestly, I was confused with like Pastor Gavin's message at first. I understand now, like you got to watch the whole series and start reading a book too really on the supernatural way of a transformed mind or something like that. It's a Bill Johnson book, but he talked about the power of our mind and the power that are literally our mind is an access. It's a gateway into the natural realm. From the supernatural into the natural realm, right? So it's like the reason that's so powerful is because are we getting a thought from hell or are we getting a thought from heaven? Yeah. And whatever we agree with is what we're going to manifest here on the earth. For me, like the whole thing going on with security, I couldn't communicate right with God because I felt like there was something wrong with me. But when I was able to come and get that prophetic word or get that word from you, it brought me back to like, no, this is who God always wants to communicate with. It's a guy with a big heart. So like, God, since I'm good and I'm no longer playing myself, it frees up space in my brain to be like, God, what do you want to say to me? And he's like, this is the plan. You require patience. But I think going back to our first question of who's defining this word? Is it the world's patience or is it God's patience? Right. And then I was like, okay, God, like what is patience? And he took me to Romans 5 and he was like, there's passionate patience in trial. There's patience when it comes to character building. There's patience when it comes to trial. And I looked up patience in the original language and it's unwavered loyalty. So, which blew my mind because when I first thought patience, I thought earthly patience. I thought the definition of, okay, I sit here. I do absolutely nothing, because I'm patient. But God's definition of patience, it's like, no, it's a posture of offense, of the offense. It's when something's coming your way, you say no because you have unwavered loyalty towards yada, 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 whatever the thought is. So I just think there's this power behind sharing your stuff to people to take us out of that loop of talking to yourself. So then we can get a word from God, then we can get his definition, and then we can grow in that to actually go out and get our tire fixed, or whatever it is. You had to ask the question. I'm so sorry, Rooster.
Flip.
I was thinking about, you talked about taking things that make you whole, like a pizza or your personality or performance or different things. And it's like, oh, this makes me whole. And then how do we get, if we don't want that to make us whole anymore, but we want him to make us whole, then what's the process of like, I don't want this anymore. I want you to make me whole. What does that look like?
I think it's cut it out of your life. I think it's starve it. Yeah. I think it's starve it.
I don't like that one.
Yeah. All right, we'll cut that. Can we bump him down? Take him down 3 stars.
Are you telling me to resist the devil?
I know that sounds really intense, and I don't. And like, I think it's really important to get with him on it, because I think it's really important to get with him because you say that and it's like, all right, well, that's easier said than done. Yeah. Everybody has tried to eat healthier. Everybody's tried to work out. Everybody's, whatever. It's like, and it's not easy on your own, you know? So it's like, I think the biggest thing is like, if you have something that you feel like, and honestly, we all can do, everybody has something.
Yeah.
If God's the most important thing in your life, you will know it because you're going to be walking in some crazy stuff, you know? It's like, you know, but if you're not doing that, like, you're still the most important thing in your life. Let's just be honest.
Come on.
You know? Come on. It's like,
all right, sure. Can we flip the tape?
And you're at 2 again.
Right. So
this is
so
good,
like
Matt. We need to hear this. This
yeah.
is good.
So I think the number one thing is get with Him and say, like, okay, God, what's in the way? Like, you know, what are my idols? What are the things that are more important to me than you? What are the things I can lay down? And like what He tells you, what He gives you, He will give you then grace to do.
Yeah.
Right. But then accountability is the second part. Tell somebody, right, what you're laying down.
Yeah,
say,
family.
you know, hey, Nate, I'm starving pizza in my life. You know, I just feel like
I'm the wrong guy.
You know, and
I'm the wrong guy.
You know, and Nate's like, oh yeah, I'm so good. You know, it's like, no, you know, but it's like,
that's good.
no, but seriously, like tell someone, okay, hey, these are the things I want to cut out.
That's good.
You know, and I'm gonna do it. And like maybe you're saying like, and honestly, like set a time, 10 days, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. You know, it's like I'm gonna do this, and then in place of that, like when those things, because really it's like, though I went to those things when the insecurities, when the shame, when the guilt, when the stress came.
There it is.
And I turned to those things to distract myself.
Distraction.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what at the core what it was. You know, so it's like I'm at work and I feel stressed. I'm going to get on Instagram and scroll for a little bit because I just want to like forget about this emotion right now, you know, or like,
wow.
You know, and so it's like, and so that's really, so then now when those emotions come, or like when you feel the hunger for those things that you're cutting out, like you turn to God and you begin to feast on God, you know, start to like, and like that just has to become your routine. It's like, okay, like, you know, maybe it's, I read the word. I think the word is huge. Like, you know, like when Jesus, you know, fasted for 40 days, like he fed on the word, like he fed on, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Like that's what he was feeding on that whole time. And so it's like feed on the words he's giving you, read the word, worship, you know, pray in the spirit, you know, all these things. I think just turn to those things instead of turning to the things you would normally do.
Right.
And then eventually, like I found that you just stop, like, you don't, I'm not saying some of those things still don't interest you. It's like, I'm not saying I don't drive by Taco Bell and my heart leaps a little bit, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, but it's like, you know, it's not like I can smell, you know, it's like I can go to McDonald's, I can smell that Big Mac. It smells good,
I'll take it.
But it's like, but I have something better.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing. It's like you find something better.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
good.
then in that
So good,
space,
Maddie.
you're made whole. And in that space, you can start to then walk out like a healthy lifestyle.
So good, Matt. It's
and
beautiful.
when those emotions come, when the guilt, the shame, the insecurity, and all that comes, like you're not afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I actually have the power that breaks this thing.
That's good.
You know,
Dang,
not the thing that just hides it for a little bit until it comes back.
Yeah.
You know,
That's good, Matt.
so I feel like that's what I'm learning, at least, is just you gotta cut the things out and starve them, you know, and maybe they
also
never come
feast.
back.
But feast.
But feast, yes.
What I'm hearing you say is it's not that
yeah.
you just cut out food or talk about. It's like you're saying I cut that, I starve that, but then you're also saying, God, I want you to feel this, because you said I'm satisfied, and I feel like I never saw it like this, but you know that fast in the desert that Jesus had, or in the wilderness, he just got baptized in Matthew 3, and then Matthew 4, Holy Spirit leads him to the wilderness, and the devil comes 3 times, and he says, "It is written, it is written." It always seemed like I need to know my Bible, but it's like no. He was full. He was saying, "I'm sorry, I already ate." You know, like you want that right? I'm sorry, no. It's written that you know,
He's satisfied.
man does not live by bread alone, but every word that
That's
comes
good,
from the
Nate.
mouth of the Father. And it's like what you're saying is Jesus was not saying, "Here, I know, it's good to know your Bible, but it's better for your Bible to be what sustains you." Like what it's like, oh, I know that you say I'm your beloved, so I don't need to perform here. I don't need to hurry here. It's like I'm safe enough, but it's sustaining you. So it's like I'm full. That Big Mac smells good, but I'm full already. I've already eaten. Thank you so much. I'm satisfied.
Yeah. And this, I was thinking about, because it's biblical. I think we forget that the James 4:7, right? Submit yourself to God, but it does say resist the devil. And I had to look it up, and it really means to go to war against. I mean, it literally means to set against, to oppose. So I think we forget that. It's submit to God.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, you're submitting to the truth, the thing that He is saying, that I'm His beloved, whom I'm well pleased, so I'm going to feast on that. But there is the point of the resisting.
Yeah.
It's in there. Yep. It's biblical. You have to resist. And the promise is He will flee from you. But yeah, I don't know. As soon as you said it, I was like, wow, he's walking this word out. I've heard that. Because I think I've done the opposite, where it's like, I'll just resist and not submit. Where it's just like, oh my God, I just feel like I'm getting whooped.
That's good. Yeah.
Like it don't last very long. You know what I mean? Because I'm not getting satisfied.
Right. It's all on you.
It's all me. I'm resisting. Like I'm breaking computers. I'm throwing away screens. I'm resisting. I'm resisting.
Done it.
The thing is,
doesn't
we're
work.
built for it. Like the tough thing is, we can't expect to not fill that spot. We just think if I just stop doing bad things, everything would change. Like, no, you're reaching for a bad thing because you were built for a good thing. You're like I want so badly to feel. Like, even like some of the most untalked about stuff, like even pornography and stuff. There's such deep rooted, healthy desires that you're looking for, but filling it with something that's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like I remember when I was stuck with that, it was so tough because it's like I could feel my heart is actually longing for intimacy and for comfort. And it's like, those are beautiful things that I was wired for. And so it'd be so hard because it'd be like, I want to go, I have such a pure intention, but then you fill it with something bad. And it's like, there's such guilt and shame with it. But it's like, don't beat yourself up for wanting comfort. Goodness gracious. Why would He give you the comforter?
Right.
Anyway, we're not gonna do. But then we also expect, just stop looking at this and expect everything. No. If you're not feasting on something, filling yourself with something, then it's like, you're gonna feel. I remember like we've talked before about this, like, and you've been my accountability for some of it too. And it's like, it's so funny because I'll come to you and tell you like, okay, I put down, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, like maybe sweets or whatever, but then I'd just be like ODing on barbecue sauce. Like it tastes a little, you know what I'm saying? It's like okay, well now I have to put down barbecue. You know what I'm saying? It's like you find these other things of like, well I stopped eating candy, but like,
Sweet Baby Ray.
I'm just like licking like a Skittles wrapper. I'm like, oh this Altoid box smells so good, But it's like we find things like if we don't fill it, if we're not feasting on something, we end up finding something to fill it with. It's ridiculous.
That's good.
I love how you brought up submission, because like it could sound bad, but it's actually a beautiful word. In Luke, I think it was Luke 5 or Luke 6, I was just reading about be kind to your enemies, love your enemies. And if you are, then it's a sign that you are the son of the Most High. And that word son is actually the word that Jesus preferred to be referred by. Yeah. Like that word son, and it means lonely. It means to submit to a higher power. It means, it's actually another word for the Messiah, which obviously had its own agenda and stuff. It was really beautiful.
I have a new word of submitting because of Nate. It just means to get satisfied.
Yeah, I love that.
Submission is, right? Go get satisfied.
Yeah.
Go get satisfied.
Yeah. From the Father.
From the Father. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Yeah, because you're a son.
But you're right. Yeah, we were, oh gosh, I love you guys.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Are we good? This was really good.
I loved it, man.
Oh my God.
11:23.
Oh, we're doing good. Love you guys. Matt, thank you for coming.
Matt, thank you so much.
I'm going to have to watch this 8 times, take notes.
Yeah.
Any last words? Rooster, Matt.
I love y'all.
I love you.
Having me.
Thank you for this. Yes. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. All you guys, thank you for your vulnerability.
Thank you.
And I love that. Like, comment, subscribe. Give us more words to submit. Have we done submit?
Rank. Put the ranks in the comments.
Put the ranks in the comments.
Nothing. Alex number 1. Alex number 1. Don't touch it. Don't even think about it. I'll correct you in the comments.
Jack, we love Jack.
Jack, we love you.
NoRoof. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. We love you.
Love you.
Love y'all.